What's going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. Today is Record Store Day, Black Friday 2021, and I figured I would put this quick video up to showcase what I got this year, as well as talk about my thoughts on this year's Record Store Day, Black Friday, since a couple of people had asked me what I thought in regards to the list and everything else surrounding it. And honestly, my feelings on Record Store Day Black Friday are very much the same as they are every other year. I always find the list to be very underwhelming, which I feel like is partly a given because all of the hype is surrounded around the actual Record Store Day that occurs in the springtime or sometimes the summer, given recently with how they divide up, the Record Store Day drop dates across 2 or 3 months. But there's still, of course, a couple of things that I will, try to seek out for myself. And needless to say, I did manage to snag everything that I wanted this year, but just down to the fact that it all was available on Black Friday. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? If you're watching this video and you are a participant in Record Store Day, I am sure you are well aware that there were some issues in regards to some releases that were supposed to come out today that ended up getting pushed into December just due to manufacturing delays and such, which just this year in general has been a major issue in the vinyl world with the supply and demand chain being what it is. And on top of all that, Adele's record label pressing up, 500,000 vinyl copies of her album and just, pushing back so many projects to the point where most stuff is getting pushed into the new year in 2022, or in some cases, vinyl pressings of some releases won't be made until 2023. So it is a very interesting time that we are living in, us vinyl collectors and appreciators. And, who is to say that these same issues that are going on this year are going to be plaguing, Record Store Days to come in the future, in the next year or two. So it's a very interesting time because, like I said, some stuff got pushed into next year completely. One of those releases was the pressing of Alice Cooper Brutal Planet. Now, granted, it has been reissued already, but this one's a fancy colored variant. That is due to come out for Record Store Day 2022, and if that is still to happen, I will try to get my hands on it, but I did manage to get everything else. So I figured I would just throw my quick 2 cents in terms of what my thoughts were of this year's Record Store Day Black Friday. Basically more of the same, but just a bit more complex. But enough of the chit chat. Let's jump into what this video is all about. Now we are going to get into the vinyl haul. And it's funny that I say that, the list is underwhelming and such, because this first release, when I saw it announced, I could not believe what was being released. And then just when I saw it and just I read what entailed with it, I was completely bombarded in every sense. And that is Aerosmith, 1971. The Road Starts Here. Now, this right here are the earliest known recordings of Aerosmith. This was recorded on Joe Perry's 2-track recorder back at their old, rehearsal space in Boston, Massachusetts. And we have a bunch of early Aerosmith standards on here. Dream On, Mama Kin, their cover of Reefer Head Woman, which would appear on Night in the Ruts in 79. Walking the Dog, which is a cover on their first album. Moving Out, the first song that Steven and Joe wrote together. Major Barbara, which was kind of like a sort of long-lost early Aerosmith track, which was recorded for Get Your Wings, but then got released on the Classics Live album in the 80s. So this right here is perfect, and it sounds phenomenal as well. Basically, like I said, it's a 2-track recording. You have Steven's vocals on one track and then the band on the other, and honestly, the end result is rather surprising. This was such a fun, thrilling listening experience to hear a band at its utmost infancy. Absolutely love the design of the artwork. It's kind of printed on sort of like cardboard, which is very nice. Kind of old school Aerosmith Wings logo there. Gatefold sleeve has some very nice early shots of the band, some of which I personally have never seen before. And then inside, we have all kinds of stuff. We have this nice insert which has some liner notes written by David Frick of Rolling Stone magazine. Talks about the recordings, and each band member kind of adds their 2 cents. And then the record itself came in a printed inner sleeve, which includes a scan of the original tape box that the 2-track tape was stored in. As you can see there, the address is to Mr. Joseph Barrie, 1325 Commonwealth Avenue, apartment 22, which was the apartment that all the Aerosmith guys shared back in the early days. So, very nice touch. And I'll also showcase the vinyl itself. Nice center label with the spool of tape making the label. Now, this is marketed as a Record Store Day first release, which is limited to 10,000 copies. So it's basically widely available. Not quite sure what the plans are for the future in terms of releasing this. Hopefully there will be a CD release, which would be nice, or maybe there's bigger plans down the road for a massive overview of unreleased material from the early days. Who knows? But this is a very nice thing to see. And I also should say that they also released this on cassette for Record Store Day as well, which is kind of interesting. Record stores, cassettes. Should have a cassette store day, but I digress. And moving onward, we have the Jimi Hendrix Experience, Paris 1967. This is a sort of, I guess, bootleggish type release because this is released on an imprint called Dagger Records, which is owned by the Hendrix estate, but it just more so covers sort of bootleg quality type, recordings that aren't suitable for mainstream release. And basically, this is a 2-track live recording for French radio, and just features, the Experience doing what they did best back in the day. Stone Free, Hey Joe, Fire, Wind Cries Mary, Red House, Purple Haze, Wild Thing. Just great stuff. This is a Record Store Day exclusive release, limited to 13,200 copies. So you'll be sure to find copies in the aftermarket. Here is the backside. And what is really cool about this release is that it comes pressed on sort of marbled blue vinyl. So it overall has like a blue hue with some black smoke, which is a very nice touch, and definitely excited to be giving this record a spin. Super stoked to have it. And the next thing that I got is the Best of Judas Priest. Now, this release was supposed to come out on the July drop date for Record Store Day this past summer, but it got pushed into Black Friday, and it is finally here. This was put out by E1 Entertainment. They have been doing reissues of the early Judas Priest albums, Rock-A-Rolla and Sad Wings of Destiny, which were on the Gull Records imprint before they got signed to CBS. And then there was this compilation which simply covers those first 2 albums. So it has a selection of tracks from there, such as the title track from Rock-A-Rolla, Diamonds and Rust, Joan Baez cover, Victim of Changes, Ripper, and then that takes up the first 3 sides, and then side 4 we have some interview tidbits from the band members, which is very cool. And right off the bat, it's a nice sort of matte cover with some glossy spot varnish of the design, which is super cool. Old man photo. Then the gatefold just has a close-up shot of the album cover. This is a Record Store Day first release, once again, limited to 2,000 copies. And this pressing, this is really cool. Wait till you see this. This comes pressed on clear vinyl with black in the middle with gold and white splatter, which makes for a very intriguing colored vinyl press, which is very cool. And of course, just given the sort of novelty nature behind this, not one is going to look the same as the other. So I will take out the second one and show you what it looks like, which is very, very cool. So very happy to have my hands on this. Great to see this get released after it got delayed the first time around. So good stuff. And then last but not least, this one was kind of an afterthought. And then when I saw it on the list, I thought to myself, you know what? I might as well check it out for myself. And this is actually a first listen for me because I never have delved into the solo works of this particular musician. And that is James LaBrie, Elements of Persuasion. James LaBrie is the vocalist for Dream Theater, one of my favorite bands. And this is his first solo album. I believe it's his first solo album that he did in 2005. This is the first time that it has got a vinyl pressing, and to kind of tie it in as well with Dream Theater World, the drummer on this album was Mike Mangini, roughly 5-6 years before he officially joined the band. So it's cool that it all kind of ties in right there. Gatefold sleeve with lyrics and artwork. Here's the track list on the back. Once again, another Record Store Day first release. So basically there are plans to, I guess, make these releases more mainstream available, but perhaps Record Store Day kind of gives it an excuse to put out a colored variant that the collectors will go after. And this comes pressed on yellow vinyl. It's described as yellow, but it kind of looks more like a lime kind of yellow, yellowish green, which is nice. And I also should mention that this is limited to 1,000 copies. It's funny how all these things are stated to be limited, but yet the sleeves aren't numbered themselves. So I guess we'll take their word for it. And here is the other LP. And that right there is what I got from Record Store Day Black Friday 2021. Here's a question for you guys. What did you guys get for Record Store Day Black Friday this year? Please drop a comment down below. I'd love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support this channel, be sure to check me out on Patreon. See you guys in the next video. And most importantly, keep the records spinning.